All right, welcome everybody. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. Oh my God, I say this every single week. Can you believe it's March? We're doing a core topic today, which is a topic we do every year. We do the same, we'll do marketing every year. I'm doing it, I did it last year in March. I'm doing it again in March. It is a topic that is kind of a popular topic, which is one we usually talk about. So last month we talked about niche. And next month, we're talking about pricing your services. But marketing has got to be one of the most popular topics. Now, anybody by way of chat, feel free to tell me who you see on the shared screen here. Does anybody know? You're typing, I know you're typing. It's Alec Baldwin, Tina. What movie is this? Now that's extra credit question. Anybody know this movie? The movie is Glengarry Glen Ross. Am I saying that right? Glen Ross, Glengarry, Glengarry. I can't even say it. Glengarry Glen Ross. And I've still, ironically, I've never seen the movie. I've never watched the movie, though it's on my list to get to. But it's about a salesperson who, this is their version of marketing, and they say A, B, C, and this character says that stands for always be closing. Now, I put this up as an example of what we're not here to do, because as we've learned, a lot of us have learned, this is the example of what we don't do and what really doesn't work because we're not used car salespeople. But I do know when we talk about marketing, and I'm gonna share that all these slides, these first 5 slides are all Laura Keene's, and I'm borrowing them. But a lot of us feel this way when we talk about marketing, and then it makes us feel a bit like this. But the reality is we're frequently talking about sales along these lines. In fact, I'm exemplifying marketing today because I'm in Olathe, Kansas. I'm at a conference with my clients, and I'm doing this exact same thing. I'm spending time talking with people just in the way we would sit and talk with anybody, with any of our colleagues about what I'm doing with them. I'm connecting with my clients, but I'm also connecting with my clients' peers at this conference, and we're having an opportunity to sit and chat about the programs. And frankly, this is the basis for my future projects, and this is why I go. And I don't think a lot of people think to do that, but this is sales in the 21st century. We connect around the things that with people we know, we like, we have things in common with. My clients are my friends. We have a professional relationship, but we have very friendly professional relationship. We connect on personal levels around our children. I'm not trying to manipulate anybody, really. I'm really just connecting with people because, they're interesting people who are doing things that are interesting to me that is similar to what I can do, and I can provide a service to them. And so that's the relationship piece. In fact, I could probably stop this presentation right now. That's it. That's the whole thing. I connect with people on a personal level about things that I do and they do, and how we can find things to get together. All right, well, let's go through some more things. But it's like this slide says, we often share who, what, who, and how. I just find folks who I'm particularly thinking that I like to work with my clients because I connect with them around the projects that we're already doing. But by connecting with them, particularly in person, I know, and which is a crazy idea these days, the new ideas come up, right? It's not, manufactured. We're just sitting there chatting. We're just sitting and talking and about whatever's happening. And then usually just out of the blue, hey, do you know about this one thing? So at this conference I'm at right now, we're actually here to connect as a regional community, the Midwest regional contracts, people who have contracts through the Department of Defense education activity. And oh, hi, Kurt. He's got his DoDEA projects too. Some of his people belong to this division too. Anyway, there is a new request for proposals, which they call a broad agency announcement, the Department of Defense. And it's out, and this is the opportunity for our program people to connect with the program officers from Washington, D.C. about how to write these grants. Well, talk about a great opportunity to be there when it happens. You want to be there at the early part of it, so that that's what I'm doing today. Just connecting with my clients around new projects, and as they dream up these projects, we as evaluators always want to be there when they're thinking these things up, so we can help them develop their goals that are measurable. Guinea pigs, yeah, the guinea pigs are actually kind of symbolic too, because the guinea pigs are part of what we do for ICTIG. Anyhow, so let's just do a little bit of step back. We can talk about the survey. The survey is actually the 2015 Independent Consulting TIG survey that I was a member of the team that did the survey back then. I particularly wanted to do it around fees, but we asked a lot about how people market it. And there's only a couple slides here that I'm going to show you. The first one is that we looked at the different marketing approaches, and the most popular, the things that we believe are the most successful. So there was, 290 some odd respondents. The things that people say are the best or the most successful marketing approaches are first actively soliciting work from new work from past clients, or really current clients, actively soliciting referrals from past clients. So I know we had a great relationship. Who are some other people that can use my services? Responding to requests for proposals. And that one has kind of an asterisk next to it. I didn't put it on the slide, but I think you should think there's an asterisk next to that. Presentations, training, or speaking, and doing pro bono work. So I talked about the actively soliciting new work from past clients, or really existing clients in my case. That's obvious. I already described that. The other potential there, and the 91%, is also what I'm doing by showing up and having a great relationship and being there and being present for my clients. There are a lot of other potential clients here at this conference that could see what we're doing and seeing our level of support for these clients and think, man, I'd like to work with him. So we're creating that opportunity. We're not doing the Glengarry, Glen Ross approach. We're not right in people's faces, but these are the times when opportunities occur. Responding to requests for proposals. I do get a lot of calls, and had a couple this week already, about people who are writing grants, like for instance, the National Science Foundation. So they're writing for these proposals and they need an external evaluator. And so that's the kind of request for proposals that I do. And I think that's actually a basis for our work. It's one of the main ways we develop our work. The other piece to that, I think, is actually, you'll see on the next slide, can be very challenging, is responding to requests for proposals for specific evaluation work. And we'll probably have a discussion about this after the fact, after I'm done, because I think you need to be very careful with those. And that's kind of, if we had to redo this survey, we would have split those questions out, because when you're responding to a request for a proposal where it's specifically about evaluation work, oftentimes it's a procurement requirement where they need to get 3 bids. And we want to believe, and they will tell you, that they're doing this in all the right ways so that they can get 3 bids. But frankly, oftentimes they've already picked one person. So be very careful about that as your marketing, as your project development approach. Presentations, trainings, and speaking is a fantastic approach. I go to conferences like what I'm doing now, and I speak. I speak about how to be a good evaluator. Guess what? People are interested in talking to people who talk about being good evaluators, because they need a good evaluator for their project. So an example, I think it was like 2015, 2016, I gave a little session about how to do rigorous evaluation for math and science partnership grants for the U.S. Department of Education. And an individual came up afterwards from the University of Northern Iowa, and she says, "Can you help me? I need to do exactly what you're talking about." And I said, that's, in my mind, I'm thinking, that's why I'm here presenting on this topic, so that I give the opportunity for people to come and talk to me about that. But also just being present, being public. I mean, that's what I do through the Independent Consulting TIG and other venues as well. Doing this through the Grant Professionals Association is a great way. I've developed relationships there that have turned into real work. Pro bono and volunteer work. So a lot of the ways we think about that is pro bono work, maybe somebody for a foundation that you want to work for. I gave a little newsletter article a couple months back about this. I think about this a little bit differently. I certainly am doing work, but sometimes people will ask me, hey, can you do this thing for me? It might develop into something new and different. And I did that, for instance, for the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents of Schools. They did this data collection, this survey of their members, of all the different superintendents over the state. And they said, well, we collected these data. And I said, well, how did you develop the survey? Well, we just kind of made it up. But anyway, so I took their data. I said, how much do you have for me to do this analysis? They said, well, we have no money, but you'll get a chance to meet everybody. And I said, all right, well, I was a little bit slow at the time. So I did that on a pro bono basis. And it, that's turned into about $100,000 of work every year because that was 2015, 2016, we took a break. In 2017, we developed the survey and kind of did it right. And then it created a lot of buzz for that association. And they said, oh man, we really need to do this and that. And now we're writing white papers and we've got additional add-on analysis. It's really fantastic. Anyway, that was just an example of one pro bono work job that we did for folks that turned into really a successful program that's may even become its own service line within our work. Here's some least successful ones. Now, RFPs aren't listed here, but they were just to the left of direct mail as also a thing that was as an unsuccessful. And that's because we believe, we don't know exactly because we didn't ask follow-up questions, it was just a survey, but that's because people are responding to RFPs that oftentimes aren't actually something you can win because they're kind of maybe geared towards one person. And we know that this happens in the marketplace. Other areas, most successful would be, least successful is direct mail. And I did this a couple of years ago just to see what happened. My daughter was in between her freshman and sophomore year. And I said, why don't we'll put together a brochure, we'll put them in envelopes, we'll stuff the envelopes, we'll send them out to everybody who's an NSF project director in Illinois and Missouri, in my kind of area. And we sent out probably 500 letters, and I got one email in response, and it wasn't really a job lead, and I got nothing else. So I don't think I hurt myself, but I don't think it was very successful. I didn't see much of anything. I don't spend a lot of time networking through like LinkedIn or Facebook. I think it's a nice way to communicate with one another, or Twitter for that matter, but I don't find it's a way for me to connect with my clients. Now, everybody's going to have an example of, there's certainly people who are going to have examples where this has been very successful for them, but that's not a way that works for me. Vendor booths at conferences. This is kind of an interesting conversation here because just remember, for the 58% who said this is not a successful marketing approach, there's a 42% that said, hey, this isn't so bad. Gomani Lundquist with Via Evaluation talks about this in her sessions. And when you get a chance to talk to her, she goes to the Grant Professionals Association. She pays money to stand out and have a booth. And she says, if I get just one project, the whole thing's worth it. And so she believes that's just lead generation for her, and it works out really well. So there are examples of some of these things that do make sense. Email marketing and referrals from websites or blogs. I don't have a lot of examples on those, but those are areas that were identified also that were really successful. So we talked about ABC, always be closing. Really, I guess Dan Pink in his book, To Sell as Human, says really we need to change this into attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. You need to be in tune with what's going on with your clients. You need to be flexible, and you need to seek clarity in your message, is what he's saying. I kind of put together my own version of this. So I have my 5 keys. I actually have 5.5, because that's what I do to marketing and networking. And I have a slide for each one of these. So first, talk about relationship finding and building. So we all exist within a social network, whether we want to recognize it or not. If you think into social network theory, you are here today, and the people that on this call whether you've met them or not, you now have some line between you and that person. It may be a very thin line because you both showed up today. Susan, Wolf, Kurt Stuck, and I have a thicker line because we have developed relationships outside of this call. They sit on a board of mine that we do for evaluation for a project that I have. So you're in a social network, and understanding your relationship within your social network, within several different networks, particularly with regard to your clients or your potential clients, is a first key to understanding how you can assist and develop your work for other people. And connecting with those people, particularly around opportunities around pro bono, is a great way to create, new projects and opportunities for yourself. I have a whole session that I talk about networking karma. The basic idea is when you're in this social network, to what degree are you able to give of yourself selflessly in a way that makes you invaluable to others? So that social arbitrage is a word that Keith Ferrazzi talks about in the book that's referenced here. You are invaluable to people. If you're invaluable to people, they have to come to you for your resources. But the way to create that before you have a project with them is to meet them at a conference and say, oh my God, I've been thinking about that. I've got this thing I've been trying to do. Why don't I send these resources to you? This will help you out. And hypothetically, in all of this, you're sending them something that they've been looking for, that's very necessary. And what's really key to all of this is not commoditizing this, but basically not keeping score. You're not looking for somebody to give you something because you gave something to them. If you give freely of yourself, you create a community of giving, you create a relationship of giving. And so now you've opened up the door to, naturally just calling somebody up and saying, hey, I was wondering if you're interested in some program evaluation services on your project that you're writing, or even better, know about the project that they should be writing before they even know about the opportunity. And so you call them up and you say, you know what, this opportunity is perfect for you. We met at this conference in Olathe, Kansas, and you should be thinking about how you should be writing for this grant because you want that $1.5 million or $2 million that the Department of Defense is going to provide to you. Now you put yourself as the hero place, you get to help them out. And hypothetically, in this whole situation, they're going to say, yeah, we really need somebody to do program evaluation for us, particularly if you know about the opportunity and you understand those clients. So being aware of what's out there and keeping your ear to the ground is really critical. Problem finding. I think I'm kind of jumping ahead on some of my ideas here. I didn't practice this ahead of time, but I'm the worst example of this because I get ahead in wanting to talk. And so I've got to work really hard to be a listener. So that's really important. And so we talk a lot about, are you an extrovert or an introvert? Frankly, the introverts in this audience today, you are better at marketing than us extroverts because you're sitting and you're listening and you're reflecting, you're thinking, you're letting someone talk. That's important. You need to listen to what your client wants. Because frankly, if you're trying to talk them in to something, you're going to be unsuccessful. You let them talk themselves into what they want to do, and you kind of guide the conversation. So you're seeing needs and filling needs. And that's kind of what I was talking about with knowing where there's a need for our clients and how can you help them develop that program that's going to get them, what it is they're looking for, funding to do an after-school program or whatever it is. Feel free to chase that big dream. When possible, be present in those formative stages of a grant, right? So when they're developing their proposal, there's a very specific reason for this, not only for evaluation purposes. We know about this from evaluation because we want to be there when they're developing their goals so we can make sure their goals are measurable and we can put them in the logic model and reverse design that whole conversation. But frankly, if it's going to cost you $22,000 a year to do your program evaluation or $100,000 a year, you want to be there before they formed out their budget. You want to get your budget request in first. So that's actually kind of a budgeting hint and trick. And the other thing in chasing your big dreams, not related to that, is give yourself permission to have limited insanity, meaning from time to time, you're just going to be crazy. Now, you can't be like that all the time. It's not sustainable, but there are going to be times, for me, it's probably early February when we're supporting National Science Foundation STEM grant proposals. We're going to have some crazy insanity for this program that I'm at today in late March or like later this month, early next month when those are submitted, and then in August. Giving yourself permission to go and do that, but be careful. Make sure you understand, because if you get yourself into overworking all the time, you're going to exhaust yourself. And actively engage with your clients. So let's meet for coffee. I actually usually have this earlier on in the slide deck, but it's totally pertinent to what I'm doing today. We've been in COVID, right? And I think we're not completely out of it, but we're certainly, people are starting to meet again. So we came out to Kansas. We drove out to Kansas, Tom and Shannon and I from my firm, to connect with them, and being present physically in person with these folks goes a long way to just understanding them. We took them out to dinner last night. We're going to take them out to dinner today. We meet with them most exclusively, and particularly our North Dakota folks, almost exclusively by Zoom. So this is a great opportunity for us just to know them on a more human level. And then buoyancy, your active engagement, you're going to get rejections. And we have a session coming up on, accepting failure. If you're not ready to fail, then you're not ready to succeed in my mind. But when things go bad, you need to get back up. And your 5.5 must be present to win. The session, one of the presenters here, she keeps chanting this. She's having a fun time with it. But the point is you really need to be present with your clients to connect with them around marketing. Again, the marketing happens through personal human interaction. That's the way it's happening. It's not happening because somebody's walking into your showroom and you're going to hard sell them a used car. It's happening because we're connecting with our existing clients. Now, if you're in the early stages and you don't have any clients yet, and you haven't developed your social network, that's where some of those strategies, best strategies, are to ask for informational meetings. And when people have interest in you, but they may want to give you a test, or they don't have any money, or you see that you can develop it into a paid project, that's when a pro bono opportunity makes a lot of sense. I want to thank Laura again, because this is her topic when we've done it in person for the pre-conference workshops. Those earliest slides were all her ideas, and so I'm copying them with permission, but I do want to thank her. And I do want to point out, hey, look, we've got Julie Zhang, who's with us today. She's going to be presenting next week on the IC Topic Chat about developing evaluation budgets. You can see some different conversations coming up. Oh, panel topic, consulting luck on March 17th. That's St. Patrick's Day. So if anybody's interested in being on that panel, I'd love to start some questions with you. So let me know. Feel free to private chat. With that, I'm going to stop the recording, and let's have some conversation. I can ask some questions and see where we go from there.